2013. January. I'm sorry. What month is it? July. Oh no, we're in January. I'm sorry. Okay, moving right along. 7:02 p.m. Sorry. A few reminders before we begin. I request that you please turn off your cell phones or else set your phones to vibrate. And thank you for your cooperation with that request. I want to welcome all of you and thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to attend this meeting. Our first order of business, of course, is I would like us to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Ms. Garrett, would you please conduct the roll call?
Bolton? Here. Donato?
Here.
Matei? Miles?
Here.
Shu?
Here.
Velasquez?
Here.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Here. For the record, a quorum is present and council may proceed with business. As a reminder to my colleagues on City Council, if in the event you need a brief break for any reason, please do not hesitate to request a point of personal privilege and we can break temporarily. And I would remind you that in accordance with our home rule charter, such a request should be made before a question is called. The first action item on the agenda is consideration of approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of January 2nd, 2013, and the special meeting of January 8th, 2013. Are there any corrections or comments? Seeing none, I think we are ready for a motion to approve the minutes.
I move for approval as presented.
Motion by Ms. Bolton.
Second.
Second by Mr. Shu. Roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Donato?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. The next agenda item is a public hearing. It's agenda item 3A, a tavern liquor license renewal request by Mantelli's Partnership doing business as Mantelli's at 137 West Main Street. And Mr. Downs, do you have any information to share with council besides the information that is in our packet identified as 3A?
Madam Mayor, Council, I really don't have additional information to impart, but for the record, the stipulation that you have in your packet, I believe, is a complete immemorialization of the offer that you had tasked me to make to the license holder, to Ms. Mantelli, through her counsel. And Mr. Ravelis, as her lawyer, is present this evening. And I think this is a complete and accurate statement, and part of it's a complete statement and a reflection of the agreement that we reached. But they are here, and I believe we have an agreement if it's agreeable to all of you.
If everything is in order, I will entertain a motion to 1, vacate the public hearing, 2, accept the letter stipulation agreement with Mantelli's Partnership, and to renew the license in accordance with applicable law and the terms of the stipulation agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bolton, second by Mr. Shu. Any discussion or questions?
Is it worth sharing the details, or is that not appropriate?
I would be happy to share the details if you would like. I would be more than happy. Why don't you let me come to the podium if I could, please?
Yes.
Thank you. The agreement that we have reached would be essentially that Mantelli's would admit that there was a liquor violation. That is, that Code of Regulation 203-2 was violated. And the factual basis for that is that there were a number of alleged drug transactions that took place inside the premises of Mantelli's. And some of those, I should say, just for a factual, being able to distinguish this factually from the next case that's coming up, and that is, it's also alleged that an employee was involved in some of those drug transactions. That having been said, the admission essentially would be that there was some illegal activity in Mantelli's, that was in the nature of drug distribution allegations. I'm not trying to presume anyone to be guilty unless and until they're proven innocent. But the agreement would be, in exchange for that admission, this council, as the local liquor licensing authority, would agree to have Mantelli's on probation, essentially, as a license holder for a period of 1 year. As part of that probation, there would be a 30-day suspension of the liquor license. That suspension in and of itself would be suspended down 25 days, so that there would be an actual suspension of 5 days, with those dates to be decided upon by Ms. Mantelli through her attorney, and to be approved by this council, again, as the local liquor licensing authority. Also, as part of that, a $1,000 contribution would be made, and that would be made to the Trinidad not-for-profits or non-profits fund, so that that money could be eventually distributed to one or more of the non-profit organizations in the city of Trinidad. Also, Mantelli's, in exchange for this, agrees that there would not be a transfer of the liquor license any sooner than December 31st of 2014. That is, the same license holder would remain and would not attempt a transfer until the end of the next calendar year. Lastly, and this is the last few sentences in the stipulation, and that is Mantelli's has agreed to cooperate with the city in terms of minimizing loiterers, or people who are out front that have been out there, that there have been, I know, a number of complaints to this council about. But with that having been made, I think that's a complete statement of the stipulation that's contained. Any questions of me?
I understand that one of the allegations involved an employee, and my understanding is that employee is no longer associated with Mantelli's.
That is correct. I spoke with Ms. Mantelli before she hired Mr. Revelis, and she told me that that employee was terminated shortly after the allegations arose. So I believe that's absolutely correct. And again, Mr. Revelis is here if you have any questions of him. But he and his client have signed the stipulation, and they're ready to go.
Any other discussion or questions?
The only thing is, Ms. Mantelli, there's a couple things on, and these are very minor issues, has nothing to do with that. Yeah, there's some fire extinguishers and stuff that needed to be replaced and checked, and a few items like that. Have that been taken care of?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? I think we will then be ready for the roll call.
Walton?
Yes.
Benado?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. The next agenda item is a public hearing. This is agenda item 3B, a tavern liquor license renewal request by Robert Leonetti, doing business as Park Cafe at 608 Arizona Avenue. And Mr. Downs, do you have any information to share with council besides the information that was in our packet at item 3B?
I do not, Madam Mayor, Council. I should tell all of you that Doc Leonetti is also present as the license holder on the park,
Yes.
as his lawyer, Mr. John Neal Barkley. And I have recommended to this council that you please go ahead and renew the liquor license, as I believe there are no violations in existence that would cause you to not renew the liquor license. But that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
So if everything is in order, I will entertain a motion to vacate the public hearing and to renew the license. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
A motion by Mr. Shu,
Second.
second by Mr. Donato. Discussion or questions? None, I think we're ready for roll call.
Walton?
Yes.
Donato?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velazquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. Thank you for being in attendance. Our next agenda item are petitions or communications, oral or written. And Ms. Garrett is checking to see we have one individual who has signed up, Mr. Bill Winter.
He's not here.
I see you. When you're ready, sir, you may begin.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Gonzalez. What I'd like to present to you this evening is something, I've got an information packet, a short information packet, I say 7 pages short, of something I'd like City Council to consider for May of this year. I mentioned it to you at the end of last week's work session. And it is the recon for 2013, and recon is put on by the ICSC, which is an acronym for International Council of Shopping Centers. It's put on every year in mid-May in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is where 70% of all mall or shopping center transactions are actually made during this 4 days. This year, it goes on from May 19th to the 22nd, I'm sorry, and that is that's from a Sunday till a Wednesday. And the reason for my presentation is the reason why I like to see some people from Trinidad attend this is it's much more than shopping centers, and I know that Trinidad could not support another shopping center at this time. However, I went 6 years ago, and I went by myself, and it's just such an overwhelming experience. What I found out at that time was that you need to start planning right now or even a couple of months ago to attend, because I went on a week and a half, just a week and a half notice, and I didn't have appointments set up with anybody. And so I wound up standing around waiting half an hour, maybe an hour and a half to talk to somebody. If you decide this is something that should be done, I'd like for it to be considered, and I can get you some more information in the next couple of weeks to consider it. Let's travel cost, the networking possibilities, but the information out there is just phenomenal. The networking capabilities, if you turn to, let's see, if you turn to page 4 of what I've given you very quickly, it says Recon has something for everyone. It says cities get out there and network, and they can tell these retailers exactly what you have, what we're looking for, which is, I feel, is something that would be a big plus for Trinidad. Plus, not only can you get your information out there, you also find out exactly what these retailers are looking for, because they have invested millions of dollars to find out what works for them: population, traffic, foot traffic, vehicular traffic. They've done all this research, and then you can find out what you're looking for. It's also a possibility to network with franchises. And one of the things that I talked to Tom about was looking at franchises that don't sell their franchises, or franchised owned. And if you can get a couple of those to come to town, then you're not looking at any capital investment from a entrepreneur here in town. You can get them, create jobs. Some of the cities that attended last year were Greeley, La Junta. La Junta sent a contingent last year. Firestone, Lone Tree, and Commerce City. Do we know anybody from Commerce City?
I was just going to say that.
But, and these are just cities that are going because they know of what the possibilities are. And this is what I'm presenting you tonight is something to consider, to talk about, to give strong consideration to. Because I think it would be a strong step forward for Trinidad towards economic recovery.
Thank you,
Do
Mr.
you,
Winter.
do you have any questions of me?
Do you know what it costs to man a booth there? Like if you wanted to be in the,
Well, to actually man a booth there, I would have to do a little more research on that. I do know that for attendance, you're probably looking on the low side of $2,500 per person. I did do some.
that's to attend, but is there, usually there's a separate charge for, if we could just get that information, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can have that for you at next week's work session.
Was La Junta, were they,
They're,
did they
well,
run a booth in the?
no, they didn't actually have a booth there, but what you can do is you can go and you can target who you want to see, who you want to look at. For instance, and I brought it up last week, is Safeway. I went and approached Safeway, and Safeway said, well, we just remodeled our store, and but I mean, Safeway is there, Cabela's was there, Bass Pro Shops was there, and most of them have tables right in front, and they'll have printed information saying that, okay, we need traffic of 5,000 cars a day minimum. We need a population, we need a geographic area that has 25,000 people, and they let you know right up front. I spoke briefly with Walgreens. Rite Aid said, well, we're not doing Colorado right now. Trader Joe's says, we're not doing Colorado right now. But at least you get a chance to find out and get your name out there. And I just think it would be a big plus for Trinidad to strongly consider going this year.
It sounds like a very proactive means to seek some economic development, and I'd suggest that you interact with Mr. Aker so that he could evaluate whether it might be something that he and staff or maybe a representative from council would accompany him on that trip to exploratory trip.
And something that I would also consider is possibly somebody from Los Animas County, because it's Trinidad Los Animas Economic Development.
Yes.
Consider somebody from the county because they also play a key role in it also. But I would strongly recommend sending 2 to 3 people, because to send one person it's just an overwhelming experience. To go out there by yourself and try to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. And I feel that there's a lot that could be accomplished by going out there in mid-May.
Sounds like a wonderful opportunity, and I think, Mr. Aker, if you have any comments, it sounds like maybe you've been there before?
A few times in Commerce City, so it is a worthwhile trip. I think it'd be good if council desires that I can work with Bill and get some additional information, including the cost of manning a booth. I want to say it's in the tens of thousands of dollars. It's pretty expensive. But I think even going out, just to have the trip and go out, it's building those relationships. And it may take several years before you actually have something that happens because of it, but you've got that relationship that you've built with them, and you get to know some of the folks. And then there's also opportunities that I've experienced where they've actually come into town and you've already got that relationship built and can talk with them.
Very good. Well, thank you for taking the time to make us aware of this opportunity.
You're very welcome. If you have any other questions, please give me a call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Our next agenda item is a report by City Manager and the City Attorney. And Mr. Aker, when you're ready, we're all ears.
I'm ready. First at your place, you'll see some information that council member Ms. Bolton and I obtained when we were on our little train trip last week. It was a very worthwhile trip. A lot of conversations that are getting things started. There were folks from, in addition to us, folks from La Junta, the city manager from La Junta, one of his council members, a council member from Lamar, and then several people from Kansas, Garden City, Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas. The Kansas Department of Transportation had a big contingency there, including their cabinet member, and then Colorado CDOT had their multimodal representative there, so I think it was a good meeting, got a chance to really talk with a lot of folks from Burlington Northern and Amtrak on what some of the needs are. We've set some next step goals, and what Ms. Bolton and I would like to do is have this on a future study session, give the rest of the council a chance to digest what we've handed out, and then have a discussion on what some of the next steps may be and what council may want to direct staff to do as next steps as well. But overall, a very worthwhile trip. Tiring, I didn't think I would have a problem sleeping on the train, but I did. So it was a pretty tiring trip, but very, very beneficial. And I'll ask if Ms. Bolton has anything else to add at this time.
It was a very helpful trip. We learned a lot. We met numerous people that we know we will be working with in the future with regard to this. And I'd just like to have council have an opportunity to go through this information, which was compiled jointly by Burlington Northern Santa Fe and Amtrak. And then next week, perhaps at our work session, we can cover it in depth. There are some good steps being made.
And for the, I forgot to, probably should have introduced, this is in regards to the Southern Chief Southwest Chief rail service between Albuquerque and Topeka, Kansas.
Well, it certainly sounds like something that we would benefit by discussing further in a work session.
I would concur. Second, I'm putting together the final budget memo. I'm going to add my own little cover letter to the budget memo this year. And as we're getting ready to finalize that, I wanted to inquire if council has a preference on paper or CD or email versions of the budget, so that we can kind of get a handle on how many we might want to make. And it's, if you don't have to let me know tonight, if you could let Anna know in the next couple of days, that would be great. Just trying to get an idea of how you guys would like it, since we can do it in a couple of different formats now. And then third, as I've mentioned a few weeks ago, starting to think about a retreat and looking at the calendar with everything that's happening. I've identified the potential, and I'm not set on these dates, I'm just throwing them out there for council's consideration. Saturday, February 9th, or Tuesday, February 12th. And if you would want to do a half day, all day, we're looking at a potential site that is free, if not very low charge. There is an option, we could do it in this room, but I feel it's great to get outside of our normal venue to have some good creative discussion. And then I'm also looking at if we can potentially have a facilitator. I've got one in mind that's a former mayor that I've heard has done a great job in the past for some other communities that I'm aware of, but also trying to keep aware of budgetary constraints as well. So with that, if you have a thought on right now, or if you could again get back with Ann in the next couple of days, that would be fantastic, or any suggestions as well. And I'll have some, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I'll have some questions forthcoming as well before the retreat that you can be thinking about.
And Tom, I'll volunteer. I have an off-the-grid home about a half an hour from town, and I've done board retreats there, SCRT for instance. The only problem, Torres, it's a good place to
It's
get
really
away.
nice. I would go there.
The only problem is that if you get snowed in, you can't get up the driveway.
Okay.
But if you wanted to work it in as a tentative plan, we could watch the weather forecast. I would volunteer that.
Okay. Well, the great thing if we got snowed in would be some great team building and bonding
We could do it on Tuesday, we could have turf picking.
That's true.
Oh,
Okay, all right.
Congratulations.
Well, that would be wonderful. It's one of those type of places where we're kind of out, and actually keeps our attention focused as well.
Oh, you don't feel like you're near Trinidad,
Right.
except you can see the city lights.
Okay.
It's dark.
Great, let's talk some more. I think that would be very interesting to entertain.
That's a very generous offer, and sounds like it would be worthwhile. Hope the weather cooperates.
With that, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. And Mr. Downs, do you have any report or information to share with council?
I do not, other than what I had before and what I have upcoming. I don't have any additional items to discuss, unless you have questions.
We're paying you all this money.
Here we go again. Here we go. Yeah, I know. I was trying to come up with something to report, but
I'll provide him some coaching.
That's right. Sorry.
Are there any questions from members of council? I think we're ready to move on to our next agenda item, which is committee reports, and there are no reports scheduled for tonight, so we'll move right along to the next agenda item. Number 7, unfinished business, and we've been very diligent, so we don't have any unfinished business. Where we do have some business to attend to is the next agenda item, 8A, consideration of a water lease agreement between the City of Trinidad and Mr. Ken Torres of Torres Fish Hatchery. And Mr. Aker, do you or a staff member care to comment on this agenda item?
In Jim Fernandez's absence, Linda is here to answer any questions. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you've got any additional questions based on the presentation last week, I think we're ready to move it forward.
I believe we did discuss this at our work session. Are there any questions for Ms. Linda?
Well, we might note for the record that the agreement was amended to include 2014 purchase as well as a 2013 purchase.
Okay, so it's 2
That's
years.
correct. The only changes in the agreement were item number 3, item number 4, and then of course item number 9, with the, basically dealing with the date of the agreement. It was, I believe, discussed to become a 2-year agreement rather than a 1 year. And of course payment.
If everything is in order, I would entertain a motion to approve the lease agreement.
Make a motion that we accept the agreement.
All right, motion by Mr. Shu.
Second.
Second by Ms. Miles. Any discussion or questions?
Madam Mayor, I just have one question on.
Yes, sir.
On the end of that, I just want to know that this was agreed upon by our water attorney too, right? And he said that was all approved then.
Yes, that's correct. Jeff Kahn was.
Jeff Kahn,
I've had conversations with Jeff, and he is actually the one that actually did the amended contract. So yes.
Any other questions from council? I saw a hand out in the audience. Yes, would you please come forward and identify yourself?
It's easy for you to say. Terry Sears, Trinidad citizen. The council at the work session was talking about, they had requested a 2-year lease. And is that what the council is considering?
Yes, that's correct.
You know, while I'm greatly in favor of more fish that might accidentally run into my line, I would think that the council might want to consider 1 year with an option, because the drought projections are really serious and there's no sign of a let up, and they say that we're only halfway through a 20-year cycle in this area. I don't know how much water is involved, but I'm thinking that it might be just as prudent to do 1 year with an option.
Thank you for your comment, Mr.
I
Sears.
can address
Yes.
the question. Basically, all our lease agreements indicate that there's no guarantee of water. In the event there are drought conditions or mechanical failures at the Trinidad Reservoir that we could not provide the water, that is considered. Okay.
Thank you.
The amount of water is 6.85 acre-feet of water.
And I recall at the work session, we had a question about whether that would be a significant amount.
That's a very good point.
Yes. So, thank you very much. Are there any more questions, or? And if not, I think we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Donato?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Baker Gonzalez?
Yes. Our next agenda item is 8B, consideration of a letter of professional services for the 2012 audit by Dixon, Waller and Company Incorporated. And Mr. Egger, do you or a staff member care to comment on this item?
Staff, this is a, as I mentioned at the work session, this is a pretty routine agreement. I think it's a benefit to the city to have audits done on a regular basis. Staff recommends approval.
Alrighty, and council will recall that we did discuss this proposed letter at our last work session. So if everything's in order, I will entertain a motion to approve the letter for professional services. Motion by Ms. Velasquez.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bolton. Any questions or discussion by council? Seeing none, hearing none, we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Benado?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. The next agenda item is 8C. It's a resolution supporting the agreement between the City of Trinidad, Colorado and the State Board of the Great Outdoors Colorado Trust Fund for the Boulevard Addition project. And council may recall that we did discuss this item at our last work session. And Mr. Aker, since Mr. Feinberg has come up to the microphone, I believe he's probably prepared to comment about it.
I think you're correct. This is a routine requirement of Great Outdoors Colorado for grant recipients to get council's approval prior to submitting grants through a resolution.
Mr. Feinberg, do you have anything to share with us?
It's pretty much straightforward, as Mr. Akers said. I just wanted to give you kind of a window into what's going to happen from here after this resolution is passed and the contract is signed.
Okay.
We will be moving into appraisals, and we'll keep you apprised as the process proceeds.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion? I think we're ready for the roll call. Oh, I am
I
so
move
sorry.
for approval of the resolution.
All right, motion by Ms. Bolton,
Second.
second by Mr. Shu, and any discussion? Now that we've got a motion on the table. Being none, then we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Benado?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. That's what happens to me when I don't have an espresso. I need to take my espresso before the meeting. The next agenda item is 8D, and this is to consider approval of a letter of support for the governor's cabinet visit for the summer of 2013. And council may recall that we did discuss this at our last work session. And Ms. Tara Marshall is available if you have any questions.
Just one update, the
Yes, ma'am.
Board of County Commissioners did approve a letter this morning.
Oh, that's
We have that.
wonderful news. If everything is in order, I will now entertain a motion to approve the signing of a letter of support for the governor's cabinet visit for the summer of 2013.
I'll make a motion that we get that done.
Motion by Mr. Shu, second by Ms. Miles. Questions or discussion?
Tara, are they inclined to come back? I mean, what do you think their chances are?
I think our chances are really good. I spoke with Kathy Garcia, the Executive Director of Action 22. It'll actually be the Action 22 Executive Board that makes the decision, so I feel pretty good. The letters of support should help. I don't know
Is there
that
anything
other...
else council can do to, like if there was something that didn't go well last time or?
I'll know a little...
Or something?
I'll know a little bit more after the proposals are received. Karen Brown, as you know, from Pioneer is on the board, so she'll give me a heads up if there's anything we need to do. And I will certainly, through Mr. Aker, let you know if there's some sort of contact that we can make with them.
I think it's very good that the Trinidad State Junior College is
Yes.
willing to provide us the facilities, because we really do need quite a bit of meeting space for it to be truly successful.
Yes, definitely. And the private partner, the
Yes.
private-public partnership with Pioneer and the college and the city and the county should help.
Thank you. I think if we have no further discussion or questions, we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Benado?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Velasquez.
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is 8E, and that is to consider approval of an amendment to a water lease agreement between the City of Trinidad and New Elk Coal Company. And Mr. Aker, do you have any comments on this particular agenda item?
The comments that I can add at this time is, if you recall, we had an executive session discussing this back in December on the 11th, I believe. And at that time, the attorney spoke to City Council. City Council gave some direction to the attorney. This agreement amendment reflects those suggestions, and with any detailed questions, I would turn it over to our City Attorney, Wes Downs.
And if I may, Madam Mayor and Council, I spoke to Mr. Khan several times today, and there is one addition in this proposed amendment, and that is he wisely suggests that New Elk be required to reimburse the city for your legal expenses. That was done previously when the lease agreement was originally undertaken.
Yes.
And now that they are proposing this amendment. And Mr. Khan told me that he talked to Mr. Paul Flack about this, and that Mr. Flack didn't have an objection. And I think it was indicated that it was even approved by them, and that was okay. But this is, I believe, after the work session, this is an accurate statement of that agreement and the carryover of the 2012 water.
And just a question, this ensures that Trinidad will have control over the carryover waters that are being sold into the market.
That is correct. Absolutely right, Councilwoman Miles. And also the $25,000 has to be paid by January 31st. That's kind of a condition preceding to everything else. And then we have it's also in here that I believe the 50 acre feet of the Tier 1 water for 2013 has to be used first. And that is required, and that makes a lot of sense in terms of what would happen in terms of the carryover. But it's actually starting to make sense to me. A little bit. Councilman Shu would be glad to know. I think.
I have a question, Les, and that is in paragraph number 5, refund of fees. Line 3, it references payment made on or before January 31, but it does not indicate what year.
Ah, good point.
Might be helpful should this ever be contradicted.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course it should be 2013. And it is referred to, I believe, but absolutely, that is a change that should be made. And we will do that. I will point that out to Mr. Khan.
If everything is in order, I think we are ready to entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the water lease agreement between the City of Trinidad and New Elk Coal Company, including the additional reference to a year in the paragraph cited by Ms. Bolton.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Bolton,
Second?
second by Mr. Shu. Any further discussion or questions from council? I think we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton,
Yes.
Benado,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Velasquez.
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes. The next agenda item is number 9, the payment of bills. Are there any questions regarding the bills that were furnished in your agenda packet? No questions? Then I'm ready for a motion to approve the payment of bills. Motion by Mr. Shu,
Second.
second by Ms. Velasquez. Any discussion or questions? Being none, I think we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton,
Yes.
Benado,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Velasquez.
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes. The next agenda item is 10, approval of payroll. May I have a motion to approve the payroll for the time period from January 5, 2013 through January 18, 2013.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Bolton,
Second.
second by Mr. Benado. Any discussion or questions? our employees are doing a good job and they deserve to be paid. I think we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Benado?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. Having completed all posted business for our regular meeting, may I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Motion by Ms. Velasquez,
Second.
second by Mr. Benado. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready for the roll call.
Bolton?
Yes.
Benado?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Velasquez?
Yes.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes. The time is now 7:44, and the meeting is adjourned.
That was the